you hear me? I figured out I can unmute myself during the opening, so I got to sing along. I'm pretty sure. Hey, I'm the beard.
I am your friend, your King Ginger, the guy your mama worried you about.
Yeah, your mama said there'd be days like this, but she could never imagine that we were this close to snatching victory from the jaws of defeat.
What?
I don't know.
Oh. Hey, is Dave not our part of our team anymore?
No, he hasn't been part of our team for months.
Oh. Oh, I thought he was. I thought he was team.
He was. I don't know. Anyway, we're here. We've raised $9,200, something like that, and we've raised. Let's see. I think that puts us at $81,000 for our 9-year total. Oh, that's nice, satisfying. There's a word for how I'm feeling, Ben, and that word is.
I was gonna say I can't read that because I was sure it was the camera. I'm so fucking tired.
Yeah. No, it's my blurry background.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks again to everybody. This is like fun. I love doing this little rap show, even if it's just a little bit together at the end and thinking about like, I mean, we played in stuff together or but we didn't see all of our stuff. So I'm curious how like your docket went and if you had any favorite moments. I know I missed the D&D because I was doing the murder mystery, but that sounded like it was just an absolute hoot. I mean, I did show up with my chest hair bare, and then you guys wouldn't let me leave.
Delightful. So how go? This year, I think overall, this was the most consistently good games I've run. There was 3 games where I felt like everything went really, really, really well.
Damn, dude, that's awesome.
Game 1 was unhinged. And it went nowhere where I thought it was going to go. It was one of those things where I had to. I didn't have a choice about like improving hard. I had to.
Yeah.
And that stuff sounds scary. Like if you that's not your thing.
Yeah.
If you're like, man, I don't like doing that. Whoa.
Don't like that.
Where if you're like, that's not my jam, then it would be terrifying.
Yeah.
That being said, when I feel like sometimes being able to do that is what kind of keeps me fixated. I'll use an example. So my Steam pops up whenever someone starts playing something. And today during Star Wars, Nate was playing games on Steam. But the reason I wasn't like, oh, fuck, this sucks, it was because we were bouncing so much. I was like, if that was me, I'd be doing something too.
Yeah.
Because we were all tired and I would need something to keep me focused and to keep me in the moment. When we bounce like that and I have to constantly meet the moment because things are going in 18 different directions.
Yeah.
I find that easier than when it's on a rail.
Yeah.
I had low expectations for that game, and it turned into a fucking madhouse, and I loved it.
And this was the Ravenloft.
No, this was Rotten Odds.
Oh, okay.
Rotten Odds
was bananas, dude.
Ravenloft or Domains of Dread was a little slow to go, just like Star Wars was, because I had a lot of like answer this question you didn't expect to have to answer.
Sure. Yeah.
That was as close, I think, as I've gotten in a game. I feel like I've gotten really close a bunch down mountains, but I don't think I've gotten to
Hmm.
the point of like the final episode of Domains of Dread.
Yeah.
This I feel was as close to that.
That's
I don't feel like I fully stuck the landing, but I feel like I got real close. I think there's some spots like Cassandra was like, I just like 20 minutes ago, like I don't. She's like, I think I may have misunderstood the ending a little bit. She's like, what exactly happened there? And I was like, well, this is exactly like this was this. I think I don't know if I didn't explain it well enough or whatever. She's like, no, I knew we were doing the right thing. I couldn't fully remember or understand it. Maybe I was just so tired I didn't understand like why.
yeah.
Also, anytime the players roll a crit on like a super important social thing to wrap a game up,
Yeah.
it's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I love the fact that two players. I don't feel like I gave away the ghost early about like the twist. I felt like the twist was slightly organic this time, even though it was kind of obvious. I feel like either that they all just decided like I'm not going to metagame. I'm gonna play this real straight.
That's fun.
Like Ryan and Nathan both like played it through and came to the same conclusion, but from totally different angles, and we're not even the same place.
Mm-hmm.
But it all kind of brought back together. And as always, I felt like Nate was the utility player in all of it, where he didn't possibly get like a big moment like the other three did.
Sure.
But if he wasn't there playing, like the game would have sucked shit.
Yeah. He's the glue. I mean, more oftentimes than not, Nate is the guy that when something needs to be done and other people are farting around, he'll do it. He also is just like, I think, cognizant of, I don't know.
He's the greatest utility player in the world. He is the guy who's like the most non-player character, or like I'm the star of the show.
Actor.
He is a character. He is a character actor that deserves an Academy Award.
Yeah,
he's the best, and I don't think that sometimes that gets the attention it deserves. Yeah. But he gives so much space and so much room for everybody else to have their moments without ever like making it feel unnatural or feeling like he's going, yeah, but what about me?
Yeah.
What about Raven?
Yeah.
And I think that he is the best player and best person I've ever played with who's done that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody comes close. I can't do that. It's a skill set. There's something really like cool about someone who can do that.
Yeah.
Who's that selfless in service to like not just the story, but in service to like everybody at the table.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's super cool.
I agree.
I do think that was one of the best games I've run. Like I said, I was very, very satisfied with that. And then Star Wars, I thought went pretty well.
Dude, Star Wars was so fun.
I thought it went pretty well. One thing Cassandra mentioned today, I think I mentioned the same thing. D&D last night, like after I thought about it and kind of rested in it for a little bit, it should have been 16 hours. It should have been like 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Because the players like added so much to it that like it needed more area to breathe. There needed to be more time for them to like build relationships and like have little subplots and things like that. It should have been a mini series. So it was like, instead it was like, here's the cliff notes of this thing. And it wasn't for any other reason than the players were just so good. and they were doing such interesting things that I had to like speed things up to stay like within the time constraints. Um, but if like I had my druthers and I had the ability, I would have given that far more room to breathe. And 16 hours probably a little long, probably like 12 hours, like I said, like 3 4 hour sessions. But is that math right? I'm so tired. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting when even Cassandra points that out because she's far more into like the game goes.
Yeah.
And then Star Wars, like I also felt like there could be some breathing room, but I also was like, well, this isn't to serve that. This is to
No. And I did
serve
not
a
see.
bigger narrative.
And the best part about that was like, Ben, I should have put 2 and 2 together. That like, oh, we're doing this Star Wars thing, but it's not in the same time period. I was like, oh, well, Ben just doesn't want to do something in the same time period. And then like you're just like, it's 9 years in the future. Or you're like, what happens next? And then you're like, it's 9 years in the future. It's not be what I was like, oh, you mother. I was like, it's so good. We were when we drove over to Culver's, I was just like, Sarah, this is so amazing. I was so pumped. I was like, oh, it's such a nice. It just gives us so much more room, and it feels like the rebellion that you have this kind of shopping cart of different skill sets that have all pitched in to say like we may not all agree on everything, but we agree that's not the thing.
Yeah.
And to me that felt like
I really hope some people take that ball and run with it where they're like, yeah, I'll do stuff with you guys, but I don't also agree with what your end result is. I want this.
Yeah.
Which I think gives a lot of breathing room. I think the thing I was most happy about, believe it or not, at the end of that game was everyone seemed shocked that it was Order 66. Like they sort of forgot.
I was just like
they got so caught up in everything else and they were like, oh no, like the clones are shooting at us. And I was like, oh yeah.
I was trying to figure out like, oh, did we phase out of phase with them or did they phase out of phase with us? I'm like, oh no, we're all in the room, but we're like slightly like, you know, like it's like Fringe, you know, like when they have the and you're just like, oh, duh. Yeah. And then like did not pick up on that at all.
I really like the idea of using things like the Tunroth and the Nihil and the path drives and like going through Star Wars lore that maybe isn't as popular or even going all the way back into like legend stuff and trying to find little things and going like, oh, this would be neat to drop in there and not just as fan servicey Easter eggs for you guys, but things where we can go like the Nihil. I think that's interesting and I've been listening to those books, but I'm also not blown away by them. But like there's parts of that stuff, like the path drive is super interesting to me. And I was like, well, the path drive would be perfect, like to have something that would skip them out into an area where, you know, just beyond. And I also really like the idea of, I've always been kind of curious, like with those big ships with the CIS, there's so much like that's mechanized. Are those ships, is the CPU systems in those ships, are they cognizant? Are they actual beings? Or are they just like, yeah. So I had this dream and I was like, oh, what would be cool if like there was all these like R2 astromech droids that were just like a hive mind in a thing. And then it was just kind of all hodgepodge together, but it made sense and kind of worked. So I went with that.
It was great, man. It was so good. I enjoyed that so much, and I think at the risk of sounding like I enjoy my own shit and do it anyway, I think that when we were all scum and villainy, it was easy to make very selfish decisions.
Oh yeah.
And just be like, well, that's what you do, you know? But when
we're not the good guys.
No. but when it came down to it, um, you also realized that when the shit hit the fan, that like people didn't necessarily make evil decisions or were callous. They just, like my character, I was just like, oh well, there's no way that he sees that we could continue to maintain any sort of order if like if they're dead. um and not knowing what we could do, like, yeah, like we could go back and do it, but like my character didn't know that there was this phase thing, so he's like, we need to survive in order to help other people survive.
So originally, when I was like, so I get this weird imagination. Sometimes it runs really fast and hard, especially at night before my meds fully kick in and put me to sleep. And I remember like walking through some of this in my head. Like sometimes I'll like think about things in a like, oh, a perfect world cinematically, thinking of it. If the players do everything I sort of anticipate, like in the big beats, this is what I see happening. And I was like, oh, well, Vel Carlos is basically going to tell the players, like, I was going to pull a thing where you guys got back to the beacon as the ships jumped in. At first, you guys were going to do the big fight at the beginning, and then you were going to find the ship inside the thing, and then you were going to take the ship back to Starlight Beacon, and then that was what Order 66 was going to hit. I know I sound drunk. I'm really sorry. I'm just super tired. But like I kind of had to move some stuff around because things you guys did made more interesting. Move things around in my head where I was like, oh, this makes more sense now. Like all the parts are still there. I just need to put them in different places. And I had this kind of moment where I wanted her to be like, hey, you've got to go. Like the rest of you have to escape, because if you're alive, there's still a Jedi Order.
Yeah.
You have to go. But I also felt like I wanted to have, I was hoping someone would do a flashback about like their relationship with her, and what I was going to drop in there was like, she was having a relationship with Rev, which I think would have made the fact that he killed her far more impactful. I still felt that like it came off pretty good because it was,
that was great. It was just like, wait, what?
It was kind of this moment of two people who really care about each other, realizing they're both still alive in like a terrible situation, and
just being like
the veneer slip. Yeah. And then him just kind of going, yep, boom, I don't have a choice in this. Which
I just follow orders.
I really felt like that kind of was good. Not as good as it could have been, but it was still good.
Oh, dude, it was so good. I was like,
and it made me really, really happy that like your character was like, just pick that narrative baton up without any prompting or anything else, and was like, we got to go. Like, we got to do this. Which I thought was like, okay, well, now I don't have to try to work my way around to that kind of thought process, that kind of like moment of moral quandary. It was just like superimposed upon, but it wasn't like that. Well, I want to do this. It was more like, hey, like I want to save those people too, but if we do that, it's over. Like we lose. We will lose entirely. Because we probably aren't going to make it.
You will lose everything.
So like I thought that like as players, you guys absolutely destroyed that moment in the best way possible. Like you guys just kept piling cool on cool on cool. Hey, it's the best boy. Which is something I think the person running the game can't do. It's got to be the players who do that.
Yeah. I just wanted to share some of the moments because you can see that there are some moments where we are like losing our bananas, and then other moments where like you can see like a couple people are really dialed in. But I got a moment when I can't remember what it was near the end when like somebody cracked a joke, and it was just I love this one. Like like you can just see like you're smirking, I'm just like Joel and I just flat out laughing. Matt was like shaking. He was just There's just so many good moments. Like, I just this like brings joy to my heart. This is like one of the reasons why it's so easy to have done this for so long. Is that like this kind of stuff just makes me so happy.
Well, I think there's a wonderful thing that, like, you can tell your story with a bunch of friends who want to tell stories.
Yeah.
You know, I'll point out that, like, I didn't know that Ryan was, like, basically having some insomnia issues and was that tired.
Yeah.
And Ryan is one of the slickest thinkers off the top of his head, and he just is able to weave such a story like out of the ether.
Yeah.
And when I asked him, like, what is this, he was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, he had this look on his face,
Like,
I don't
when he was
fucking
doing
know.
this the flashback, and he was just like, and then he did. I don't know what he did, guys.
And like that moment, I was like, okay, the lifeline I'm gonna throw is like, you give me this much and let me like build on that much, and I'm gonna fucking be like Hulkamania without the racism. I'm gonna run wild. And it's not that I'm not tired, but for better or for worse, like, my brain just doesn't shut off very well.
Yeah.
I have a hard time like slowing that shit down. And all of you lay such fertile groundwork that it's easy to pop in and make threads touch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was really cool. And all of you collaborate so well with one another and with the story. You're all like, everyone yes ands, and no one is like no but.
Yeah.
And like, no one takes away from someone else. No one steps on somebody else's touchdown call. It's just really, it's just really nice. It's such a, like, there's times in games, I mean, it happens over this weekend as well, where people get caught up in the story and they feel like they got to get their shit in. And sometimes they'll step on each other. No one in our groups do that, like, to a terrible degree, but it happens. Hell, it happened in Rotten Odds. It happened in D&D. Nothing egregious. And one reason I think it's easy for me to kind of cheat in that is because I divide everybody up so much that if you start doing that, I just go, meanwhile, and I jump to somebody else. And it feels like a natural beat. But with you guys, I never have to do that. I never ever have to do that. So hi, Greg.
Hey, Greg. Oh no, you're muted.
Greg muted.
Hi.
Hello. Were you left all alone?
Nobody, I think, has tried to join me yet, but that is actually part of my quandary. Is I'm like, is this thing actually working?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see the stream going on.
Well, I didn't activate it because nobody had joined.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I think like Maya had signed up and Nathan had signed up. I know Nathan didn't play in the one before that. So I don't know. You're welcome to hang with us. We're just chilling. Or if you want to say I'm done, you're also welcome to do that. How did your end of month stuff go? Did you end up getting all of the? Greg was being accosted while we were trying to play Jackbox yesterday by work.
Yeah, it was one of those situations where it was like, oh, good, they're asking me questions about word problems.
Right.
This is awesome.
No.
Awesome. But funnily enough, I decided that because my setup was so inactive here, I'm just going to go ahead and buy a computer, which I did.
Nice.
How is it?
Well, it worked for all of 5 minutes to do what I intended it to do.
Oh no.
I mean, it works, right? But I also signed up for the StreamYard the StreamYard Pro because I was like, I want to be able to do 2 cameras, myself and the OBS thing.
Yeah.
And now it won't do both at the same time.
Oh.
Worked earlier today.
Oh, weird.
I have found that I thought about doing that and utilizing what limited knowledge I have of OBS, and
UPS.
yeah, UPS, and I just realized it's not worth it. Like I get what I get out of this, and I don't have to try to fiddle with both those things together. I find StreamYard to be I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. Easy, but also if you stretch it beyond it's easy, it's like StreamYard don't know what to do. And I find OBS to be like, I'm finicky.
Well, the funny thing is I got it working earlier today.
Oh,
I was
nice.
like, because I don't have Jackbox on my computer. I have it on my PS4. So I got a USB card last year. I was able to like hook an HDMI up to a USB, use the virtual camera in OBS to pick up the feed from the USB input. The only thing was that in order to mix sound, you have to have administrator access because you have to install a mixer on your computer, which I did. So I have the sound working where the sound from my headset and the sound from the PS4 are going to OBS, and then that is going to StreamYard, right? All that works, but I can't have my regular camera and the OBS virtual camera on at the same time. All of a sudden, it worked earlier today. It worked like a charm. I tested it. It worked.
So weird.
Anyway, the saving grace is that I guess nobody showed up.
There you go.
And I had intended to purchase a computer or a PS5 at some point here fairly recently. So it just kind of sped me up,
Well, I'm glad that you got something that you'll hopefully enjoy out of it.
My God. So yeah, now that nobody's shown up, I'm just gonna there's a camera update. I bet that's what the problem is.
Oh,
brand new computer. Woo!
Well, thank you for stepping in and doing these things. I know that it's.
You're welcome for absolutely nothing that I accomplished.
Hey.
No, you did a ton, Greg. That's silliness.
You going through all of that just to try to like deliver a good experience. I think it says a lot about like everybody that jumps into this like weird thing that I threw Ben into 9 years ago.
It's for fun and it's for a good cause, and I just wish that it had not happened during the time of the month where I lose all of the mental capacity.
I always kind of look at it too, like everyone gives us what they can give us, whether it's monetary, time, brain power, whatever. We're adults. You got what you got. It's finite, and you can only give what you give. But all of it's so, it's all very appreciated.
Yeah.
Well, how did the rest of it go?
Great. I had so much fun. I mean, we were just sitting here blabbering on about it. I mean, it's always like fun to debrief and talk about like, oh, I didn't get to see how that session went, or oh, hey, did you play in that session, or how did that one you run went? Because Ben was running D&D like opposite the murder mystery, and then like we played in this like amazing game called Rotten Odds, which is it's just like kind of like it's like a zombie land almost, like one pager front and back. And it was like it was Night of the Living Boomers. It was like our group was a DJ like company, and we were DJing a senior prom, and they turned into zombies, and it was bad shit. It was so fun.
They basically got drugged with like bathtub Viagra that turned all the old people into
cornballs.
It's like
cornball monsters.
that scene from the end of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, Night of the Living Dead, and something else. I don't even know what.
Have you ever seen Mom and Dad with Nicolas
No,
Cage?
I haven't watched that one. Wait, are you talking about the one that John Waters always talks about, where there's like live birth?
No, it's like I can't think of the Selma Blair and Nick Cage are parents, and then like something virus gets out, like a virus gets out, and all the parents just decide to kill all the kids. It's super unhinged, and like they're trying to kill their 2 kids, and you're like, what?
17.
But they're also kind of like bizarrely calm about it a lot of the time. It's a really fun movie. And I kind of wanted something like that where the old boomers turn into like a gang. Like at one point they were chanting Rat Fink at one of the players because they had done something.
There's another one called Parents that I've always meant to watch, where the parents are like secret cannibals.
Oh yeah, I'm aware of that movie. Yes. Or like I kind of also thought of like the remake of The Crazies, that has Timothy Olyphant in it, which is a remake of a Romero movie that I really like, where it's just like the government accidentally doses this town with a drug that drives everyone nuts, and they just start killing each other. And then the government goes in to shut it down and realizes we fucked up. This has gone airborne. Everybody's crazy now. So that I thought was fun. The game is like 1 page, and then the second page is like, hey, if you just need to make something up on the fly, here's a bunch of charts. Yeah, here's a bunch of scenarios.
Yeah, so fun.
So yeah, I had this stupid idea of like, I want to run a zombie game, but I want to do it with stupid boomers. And then it just kind of evolved on prep school from there.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Well, that does sound fun. Yeah, it's always nice seeing people try new things, watch new things.
I was super excited other people were running like all out of bubblegum, and that Matt ran Spirit of 77.
Yeah.
You know, that people were doing different stuff, which is always, like you said, that's always super cool to see.
That was good. It was a really fun. It was a fun year, and yeah, I keep getting really jealous that I've never been able to play with Duke again after like that one time we played whatever that was together, because he's just a hoot. Like, just yeah.
Yeah, I'm every year I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna play this year. I'm not gonna run anything, and then I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah, too many ideas that you want to get.
Yeah, and then I'm like, I'm always worried that it'll leave a big gap in like what we can do. And this year it was also, you know, we did 2 Spoopy Boys, basically bad at games a couple times, and
that was great though. Like I told Cassandra this morning when thank her again, by the way, for getting up and just like building Legos. We had like such a fun time talking, and
she had a blast.
Yeah, and it was just like so fun. Like last like yesterday to like hear her and Sarah hanging out, and
she also had a blast with that. She was super stoked about that.
It was just it was so fun to do different stuff. I was saying like I did just as much, or I like, you know, helped run just as much as I usually do, but I ran such different stuff, or I covered by, you know, putting together the ghost, or you know, like you guys doing Spoopy Boys and us doing like even like the Jackbox happy hours. Like that's like, to me, doing something at a regular time, like both days, you know, like doing the Spoopy Boys at like midnight both days, or you know, you guys did a little bit later than that, but like, you know, even thinking about having like regular things. So if people wanted to like tune in a couple times and like see something or play games, you know, more like interactive, or like, I think we did it last year with Minecraft. We did like, whatever, like morning, like Minecraft in the morning. And
it was something like that.
I did like 8 to 10 a.m. or something, both days or something, you know, it's just like that kind of stuff was great. Or like, Michael doing, you know,
Baldur's Gate
time. Yeah. Although I don't know if he ever played Baldur's Gate, because he's like kind of sick of it, but also because his desktop wasn't, there was something going on, so he's going to run on his laptop at like lower res. So we did all these tests, and then it's like there was still something going on. So I don't think that he ever played Baldur's Gate, but you know, he played 3 different things, and yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, Colin kind of ran into that too, where he was playing a couple different things because things were like not doing what he wanted it to do, and then then it crashed out, and then like I thought I was playing while he was figuring it out, but I was on the wrong channel and just not streaming at all.
Oh yeah, that was when I came in and you were just
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, we're gonna start," and I was like, "We're not streaming right now."
What are you doing? I was like, I'm playing Darkwood. Like, look, people, and you're like, nobody's watching. You're by yourself. I'm like, oh man. But like, you know, Project Zomboid was fun, even though we had to like basically go back in and do all the settings again because the game didn't save my settings. So it was on like murderous difficulty. Like that was fun. I hope Matt had fun with that. Cassandra was like, I had fun, but I don't know if that game's for me.
Yeah, that's what she said. But she was like, it was super fun, just like last year, just to like try it. Because last year I tried something I didn't think I was gonna like in Minecraft, and I was like, oh, this is for me.
But like one thing we found out is like Colin, myself, and Doug were like, we got to play Bigfoot on Bad at Games. And if we can get a couple more people, it'd be great, because once we started playing where like one of us was playing Bigfoot, that game shines. It goes from being like, oh man,
mom like was like, I think that the guys are playing a Bigfoot game.
Yeah. Plus, we were all in Mountain Monsters mode, so there was so much hillbilly chit chatter that it was super fun. Because now we're all like knee deep in the Mountain Monsters lore.
Yeah.
Which that show is so stupid, but it's so great.
Yeah.
Have you watched that, Greg? I know you guys were big into the ghost hunting stuff.
Which one?
Mountain Monsters.
I think we have.
Okay.
I can't. So the problem is that I've seen enough of them now where it's really hard to tell.
This one gets buck wild after a while. Like,
is this the one with
evil Bigfoot hunters that they like compete with? There's like demon doors in the middle of the woods.
I think I have seen that one.
Okay.
Bob would know for sure because he was the one that was streaming that one.
Okay. So I watched a guy named Billiam on YouTube, did a couple videos about Mountain Monsters, and I was like, this sounds crazy. And then Matt was like, have you ever heard of a podcast called Big Feats, where these guys who do a couple of the guys who do the Bastards podcast, I can't think what it's called now, where they talk about Behind the Bastards. They do this Big Feats podcast where they're going episode by episode through Mountain Monsters, and they came to the same conclusion that Billiam did. Hopefully, these guys never turn out to be shitbags, because if they don't, this is the most wholesome male bonding. Let's go out in the woods and LARP, basically, as like 60-year-old men that, you know,
with guns, with guns.
You know, let's build traps out of just shit we find in a junkyard.
Yep, that's totally. Yep. They're like, we're gonna build. They built a Faraday cage.
Yeah. For Mothman.
Yeah,
because Mothman can teleport. This time it's personal.
They're pretty sure that they can stop a teleporter with a Faraday cage that they built themselves.
Oh, dumb.
It seems safe.
I love it. I think that showed. So we were basically cosplaying as those assholes, which was so fun. And that game is fun, but it also made us kind of agree that like that game is very close to like Friday the 13th game and stuff like that. And we were like, we just got to play this. We just got to get a group of people. It's just like, because one of us as the monster is very, very fun. And we put whoever was the monster was who had the screen. So the stream could watch the monster, which was very, very interesting.
Bigfoot cam.
So that came out of it. And then also the Nashi Boys. So we did watch along last night during Spoopy Boys, and we still can't get that goddamn Amazon Twitch thing to work.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. So we were like, all right, fuck it. We're gonna go to Tubi, and we're gonna find something to watch. We won't stream it directly, but we'll watch it together, and we'll just all sync up the time we're in. Which is hard to do because there's commercials and they're not synced up.
The easiest way that I have found to actually make that work is honestly just streaming via Discord.
Yeah.
Watching on somebody's Prime and then sharing the screen. And the thing that sucks about that is that somebody's going to get the jump scare a full 3 to 5 seconds before everybody else, whoever it is that's streaming.
So we watched.
Sorry, I've got feline
No, it
interference.
was adorable. We watched. I had been recently kind of decided to start watching Paul Naschy movies, which are like these Spanish late 60s, early 70s horror movies that where Naschy like 20 different times played the same fucking werewolf character. And they're like badly dubbed, and they're a step hokier than the Italian movies are during that time period. But I find Paul Naschy to be super funny because he looks like John Belushi playing Marlon Brando. And he's always like so like soulful with his eyes. And then he's a great werewolf. Like he's just out of control. And we watched Super Spike. What did we watch? Like, was it Werewolf versus Vampire Woman? And it was basically like
Vampire Woman.
Yeah, Paul Naschy vampire or Paul Naschy werewolf trying to fight the resurrected Elizabeth Bathory. And the thing about these movies is they're both very pretty in some spaces and like really well done, like where you're like, oh, that's really interesting, or really cool looking. And then the next moment you're like, that's hokey as shit, and you're laughing your ass off.
Well, that's like watching a lot of movies from that era. Like,
yes,
you watch a Dario Argento film and you're like,
Dario, what were you doing?
This is amazing and artful. This is pretty schlocky.
Yes. But we kind of talked about like that era of movies is what we should be doing for like watch alongs. Because we talked about at one point, like, hey, we can watch Housebound. And I was like, I'm the only person in this group who's seen Housebound, and it's really good. Like,
when did it come out?
Mid 2010s. Okay. It's a New Zealand movie. It's a horror comedy. It's great. Highly recommended. Cassandra and I both thought it was hysterical. So I was like, we should stick to this area of stuff because they're both like, we can point out like, oh, this is like kind of Hammer-esque and fun and pretty and look like some of the makeup effects are really great. And then you're like, oh, they're doing dissolve werewolf changes. This is kind of terrible, but also kind of fun. So yeah. And Super Spike was there the entire time. So we were kind of joking about like, instead of the Nasty Boys, it's going to be the Naschy Boys. And that someone should make a t-shirt for us with the Nasty Boys bodies, but with Paul Naschy heads on them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, I can make that for you. I'm sure it would.
I just walked 100 miles to go 10 feet. But yeah, it was a good time.
That's beautiful.
And also Paul Naschy for life.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide, like in the grand scheme of things, like things that I would do for next year, because I think I had tons of really good, like enjoyable experiences this year. I'm thinking like,
did you have any bad experiences?
The calls from Greg Miser. I can get my streaming set up to work.
I think if I would have done it again, I would have attached a different email to the second account so I could just give everybody the login to the account, and we wouldn't have had to do like two-factor authentication or whatever, because that was the biggest thing, was just doing as much IT as I did. And granted, like that would not be the case if the whole crew was together, but it was just a busy year for that. So I like doing logistics, this is not unlike, doing the 6 panels with 28, panelists that I did recently. It just takes time, and it's usually, there's usually just bugs that you don't anticipate. So, I felt bad a couple of times, which I know that I don't need to, but when something tech goes wrong and you're just kind of like, shit, like I should have been awake for that, or like I wish I would have like been paying attention. But I think that, overall it went it went really well. My ego thing didn't fall flat. I did make about $100 in donations from eating, I don't know, 6 Eggos, but I also ate like 6 pro bono Eggos that I had also made, which I'm calling them pro bono Eggos. And I think that part of it is like, I think that would have played really well a little bit later, like when more people were up.
Yeah.
Part of it is just like filling that overnight slot. And I honestly think that, I mean, I honestly did not need to take apart more than maybe 3 pieces, which, considering the Ghost is like 1,400 pieces, for putting it all together between 4 and 8 a.m. and 4 and 6 a.m., I felt pretty good about that.
Yeah.
But I would definitely do that and just like enlist people to do, like, have more people on, like, or just like have different people on. But it was really fun, like having Cassandra on and like chatting, and both of us just like chatting about the Lego we were doing. And yeah, so I think things like that. I didn't play in a single game that I wasn't just like over the moon about. And it was so nice. Like, I just am always, I'm sure that you feel the same way. I'm always so flattered when people sign up for games at weird times and just like just pull out all the stops, just people getting up at 6 a.m. for a Christmas thing, or staying up till, whatever time.
People wait for that Christmas game.
They
Are
do.
like, they're so stoked about it every year.
Yeah.
It's because it always delivers like a good time. It's one of those games. Like, I know Zach didn't run games this year, but I have had more than one person be like, is Zach going to run Aliens this year? Or is Zach going to run this? Or is Colin going to run Tales from the Loop?
Yeah.
There's certain things that people run where people are like, hey, is that going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, Zane didn't play this year, but he asked me like, hey, what did anybody do? Anything like this?
That's what I would like to do for next year. I would like to work ahead, and I would like to do movie posters for the 10-year anniversary. Like, do movie posters of like Tales from the Loop, run by Colin, Star Wars, or
kind of like the Scum and Villainy poster that Joel did.
Yes, like Domains of Dread, as run by, King, and like have like caricature, posters, or like Wes Anderson style posters of
pick a style type of thing. I think it'd be really neat.
Like Jackbox Games with Greg, and like Christmas with James, and Murder Mystery with Christy, and Aliens with Zach, and like, I think that would be really fun, and put it out, and then also do like a limited number of prints. And
that'd be cool, super cool.
Sort of auction. I mean, basically, when we did all of that work for MWA and said, here's how you could be making like an extra $500 a show, and they're like, wow, maybe we don't do that. And it was like, or you could pay everybody like $10 more. You could make all of that money, and you could like make another $400 in profit just by having them sign a couple measly things. And then selling.
I hate money.
It's like, oh, well, First does that. That's not who we are. We're like, okay, fine. Be allergic to cash. That's totally fine. But it's like, I think that'd be great, right? Like, if we all did that, or like we did a joint one, like Breakfast Club style, with like all of the different Photoshopped things together, kind of like a Universal Horror, like when they Photoshop all of them together, like that would be great. Like, that'd be super fun, and it'd be fun to collaborate with people that might donate, some of their artistic talents, but also be able to just like, like everybody contribute in different ways.
I was thinking about this like very early Friday morning, like at the doctor's office, and I was like, oh man, we should have just like auctioned off like a session.
Yeah.
Or something like that, because I think kind of those outside things are always a really good idea, and I think we've talked about them over and over and over again. But by the time we get around to getting back to them for Extra Life, everyone's kind of like, what? And then Extra Life's here.
Yeah. I was saying that at the end when I was talking with Matt and Nate, right after Duke signed off, before we stopped, or like right after we stopped streaming, and I was like, the years that I made like raised the most, I think the year I raised the most was like 2021. And I realized I was like still coming out of the pandemic, so I had a little more flexibility, but I started sending emails at the beginning of September. And just sending one every couple weeks and being like, hey, we're gearing up. We would love to hit the ground running if you could make a donation. And I was just kind of like, that's what I'd like to do is like Christy and I one year like sat down and just made like pre-made messages. And then like maybe last year or the year before, maybe I think it was last year, we did like memes and then like posted all the memes into whatever we were using. I can't remember if we were using Discord at that point or not. Maybe it was just in the group message on Facebook. But we all posted different memes so people could like use the memes and post them to stories with their links just so it was like easier. And I was like, oh man, if we had the like movie poster things and we had like some memes and like just things that people could use from the inventory to make posting easier, because man, that's exhausting. And I just didn't have the energy for it after doing all the tech stuff this year. Like I think I only sent out 2 emails like total for the entire event. Like usually I think I send, like I said, it started in September. It's like you get like 10 out between the beginning, September and the end of the year. So yeah. I think good.
I also think like for some of us, by some of us, I mean me, fundraising is very difficult.
I know, but you have not raised less than $350 in the last 5 years.
I think, I always it's frustrating and difficult because like there's what you would think as traditional easy streams of funds and none of them ever come through. So no. I mean, to a frustrating degree.
Yeah.
That being said, though, there's like, I was very much like, I don't think I'm going to make little menus this year. While I was helping Cassandra brainstorm.
Same menus, baby. There's some of those menus that you've reworked that like they always do the trick.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the thing. Like, I was like, this is just like the same shit. I just changed the, scratch the file off those serial numbers and just put it back up with a different theme. But like, I was helping Cassandra come up with things for Minecraft. I don't know if she used any of them or not. But like, I thought about, if I was going to do the Minecraft like next year or whatever, I would make like a wild ass menu. Because I was like, if you're going to play for like 3 or 4 hours and you put something up like, for $25, I will start a fucking forest fire.
Yeah, I think that she had like $50. I was like, right when I got them started, we were talking about that and we went live and she was just like, yeah, so I have these incentives and it's like $25. So, start the forest on fire. I was like, I'll pay you $50 right now if you burn Doug's house down. And then I jumped off.
That was something else where I was like, imagine if we did that. And then we were like, for $50, we'll switch the rules to PvP for 30 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or like even having things like having someone in an admin role in game who could drop stuff. Or what I really thought about, and I kicked myself for, is I should have went on early on that same seed and I should have just hid shit everywhere. Yeah. I should have like made chests and put diamonds, all kinds of stuff in them and just buried them.
Yeah. Or treasure chests, like do maps.
I don't know how to
super
do
fun.
Yeah, but like that
you
would
can
be
do.
awesome.
I want to say that they have like seeds that you can like play or like realms you can download that like have that stuff pre-gen. That would be super fun. Do treasure hunt.
One thing I might do until next year is I might start just using creative mode and building like taking a good seed and then just going through and like making like a sky city, like a sky ruin city, or like a big deep dungeon that leads down to a deep dark, or like little things like that to like make it, I guess, like, this, make it big and make it fun and make it dumb so people can go in and go, I'm going to explore this thing. And it's, I don't know. I say that, but I mean, I think it would be easy to do because I have been doing a lot of more building in just Minecraft in general.
Yeah.
So maybe it'd be a good way to be like, oh, I'm going to do this for a while for the lull.
Yeah.
I would
agree.
I would say the only thing like I was frustrated with, honestly, that really got me somewhat like perturbed, was I should have talked to everyone ahead of time to do like the history stuff, or in D&D to kind of figure something out, because I realized afterwards like how frustrating it would be for someone, like how frustrated I might be if someone hit me with like a make this up on the fly, you've got 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Like I like that shit, but too many other people are like, what? Can someone else go first? And when everyone's looking at each other like someone go first, it's no one's going to go first.
And that's what I felt. I felt so bad because I was just like still getting stuff together kind of on the fly. And so like I had just like I had the Star Wars on my desktop, but it wasn't the PG-13 one. So it had everything except for the history thing, because it was like Delta or like I can't
There's
remember.
like 3 different versions of that game.
There's Gamma. I think it's Gamma, Delta, and PG-13, and I just totally missed the PG-13. So that felt bad because I was like trying to like message Joel in the chat and be like, "What did you gave me history with the, and then you gave me the what?" And
it's that thing where
I should have been better prepared to begin with, but
No, to me that has nothing to do with preparation. It has everything to do with like I have this weird expectation sometimes that everyone is going to be thinking, like going to be able to think what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, this just seems like everyone should know this. And that's cognitive dissonance. But like play wise and everything else, I don't have any complaints. I don't have anybody or anything I can point to and go, I didn't like that. Or, I had to work around that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I never say this, but I thoroughly thought things went well for once. I would not change anything about any of those 3 games. That never happens.
Yeah, man.
Normally I would be kvetching over what I felt did not go well. But no,
I think that doing these 2-hour blocks and being able to double up and then just having the space to chat at the end, or just like end a little bit early and or swap over and do something else, I think is easier than doing the 3-hour blocks and feeling like you have to crunch it in when you're doing an RPG too. Because I ended up going 3.5, I want to say, for Christmas. And then we chatted for a little while afterwards. But I also think that kind of post-show chat is really nice. It's really nice to kind of be like, hey, how did this go? What would you, what if we're going to do it again, what would it look like? Or, like doing the post logs, like we did in some of the games that you ran, to me adds a little charm to the game as well. And that you're not just churning through games because you feel like you have to entertain people, which I feel like we did for a couple years there, where we were just running ourselves ragged and like trying to end on time. And I think part of that is like, we had a maestro with Doug who was, conducting a symphony at your house in person, and then Zach and Christy had people over at their house. And I think that some of this, like, it's taken us a couple years to fully kind of take our foot off the gas of feeling like we have to just run.
Well, I will say this. I somewhat felt bad, but not really, last night when a couple people were like 20-minute warning, 10-minute warning, 5-minute warning in the private chat. And I literally said, right as we hit time and I knew we were going to go over, I said, I don't fucking care. We're not done. We're going to finish what we're doing because we're not done. And everyone was like, hell yeah. So, we went 15 minutes over, I think.
Yeah.
But I think, and no one was going to say anything, first of all. But second of all, like you said, it felt like, okay, this is for you if you're watching.
Mm-hmm.
But it also felt like, okay, this is for the players. Like you guys like just put in 4 hours of play.
Yeah.
And you want a resolution, because I mean, what was it last year when we did Star Wars, and I was like, oh well, I guess we'll have to do this, and we didn't finish.
We'll have to do another one, and we were like, oh, yeah.
Well, and we just haven't been able to get everybody on the same page to do that thing.
Yeah.
So it was like, I want an ending.
Oh, we did after. Not with the Shannon game. Yeah.
No, but like
we did eventually.
Like for this, like I was like, oh, I have an ending, but we can leave threads for something else, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I again, I want to compliment you. The idea of making 1-page games 2 hours and making like the bigger RPGs 4 hours is great. I was really worried at first, but I'll be honest, by the time we hit 2 hours in Rotten Odds, I was like, I have nothing more.
I know it's crazy because like 1-page games are such a sprint. You know, it's like I just think about like playing the Goose Game or like some of the like what did we play, Greg? Basic Witches.
Yeah,
like the teenage witch one.
I heard that's really good.
And we were catty as fuck, and it was great. It was so much fun. We had like such a good time doing that, and it was crazy. I'd pay $10 to play Jackbox with you per session. Man, Shaggy, you do it for free. You should do it. You know what? I feel like for anybody that wants to do this or like join in, like especially the Binks, like I would love for you guys to play. I know we talked about it, you know, previously, but I mean, anytime you guys want to hop on and be a part of this or anything else, if you want to be part of the fundraising team, Shaggy, I know you have your Polar Plunge, but it's like, it's awesome. I love when the Polar Plunge runs around and I can like donate to that. Like that makes me.
Is that Shaggy? Yeah, it is Shaggy. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, is that Spike or something?
Well,
I mean, Shaggy and Spike, I called Spike Shaggy the entire time during Jackbox, and he was like, EKIPS, and someone was like, that's Spike backwards, and I was like, oh, Shaggy, you're killing it, you know. And in the chat, I'm not watching him playing Jackbox, and they're just like, dude, it's Spike. They literally said that like 40 minutes ago, and I was like,
I threatened Spike earlier today. I was like, one of these years, you're gonna be playing. Like,
oh, yeah.
we were messaging back and forth.
Yeah,
but I also know that's hard. Sometimes there's a barrier to that, and I think if we keep showing people and playing some, you know, very accessible games and things like that, I think more people will go, you know what, I'll give this a shot. And when we have games where at the end it's kind of like a reminder, like this is fun, like this is supposed to be fun.
I think we've finally gotten to that point that I got to when I was teaching and like making jokes for other people versus making jokes for yourself. Like if students laugh at my jokes, that's gravy. Like, I'm not saying this because I need you to laugh. I'm saying this because, like, I find that shit funny, and it's going to make my day more palatable.
No, that totally makes sense to me.
And that's it, you know? Like, I think that this can be super stressful and super, like, anxiety-ridden. Like, doing this, like, feeling like you have to perform or, like, you know, raise a certain amount or that, you know, you have to, like, start on time or stop or provide a good experience. Like, just the fact that we can all do this at this point, we've done it enough times that we've been like, these are things we want to do, and these are things that we're just like not interested in futzing with at this point. That also makes it feel way better. That like at the end we're like, yeah, this rap show is going to go some period of time when we're done sharing all of the ideas we have, and then we're going to stop. I know last year I basically blackmailed people and was like, I will stay awake until we reach this monetary benchmark, please give money. But this year I'm just kind of like, you know what, we raised an incredible amount of money. Like the first year, I don't know, we raised like a couple grand, like I don't know, maybe $3,000, something like that. I mean, this year we raised three times that with like 3 of our top like 10 highest fundraisers not even playing, except for Christie's, you know, playing the murder mystery. Like that's insane. Like we should be so happy with that. I'm just like over the moon. And like, you know, honestly, the idea of doing like the Extra Life Encores, like doing things that are like fun before the end of the year, and just like, you know, everybody posting once about it and posting at the end about it and just being like, hey, donations are up until the end of the year. Like, you want to play Jackbox? Let's play some Jackbox. We want to do this? Let's do that. You know.
I think maybe we'll make the Nashy Boys a
encore. Yeah, what encore should we do? You guys want to do Nashy Boys?
Yeah, I think, like I said, we're gonna try to do Nashy Boys like once every couple months, like every 2 months. But it'll be like Extra Life. Nashy Boys streams are like Extra Life thing. And maybe we won't do it on a normal Spoopy Boys day. Maybe we will do it like late night on a Friday night or something.
Yeah, that'd be super fun. Yeah, I would love to do a Minecraft too, like for people that want to like craft with us, or that we just want to do like one of those like crazy, like, all right, everybody gets access to the realms for a week, and then we have some sort of like hullabaloo on a weekend for like. I want a hullabaloo. Sarah just walked by and goes, "I want a hullabaloo."
Well, I know, like Forge Labs and those guys do that, where they'll be like all get together and like, okay, we're all on like 6 different islands. Each of us gets an island, and we have 3 days in real time to do stuff. And then at the end of the 3 days, we hunt one another.
Oh yeah. The other thing that I would love to do is like have a whole ass dwarf game with that new Mines of Moria game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Y'all want to be dwarfs and go?
I heard the combat. I mean, the combat looks not good in that game from what I've watched.
Yeah, I don't care.
But the person who reviewed it was like, the combat is like 12 years old as far as like how it should be. It's 12 years behind, but they're like, it's hard to even notice it because, and the building's finicky, but it's hard to notice it because the game is so goddamn pretty, and it's Lord of the Rings and you're dwarves.
Yeah.
The exploration is insane. It's procedurally generated, and it's multiplayer.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want? Also, the game's not done.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, oh god, I would drop the money on that if it's ever when it comes to Steam.
Yeah.
But not
the other thing, doing a Star Wars night, like Star Wars Saturday, and do like Squadrons and Battlefront.
Yeah, I'd totally be down for that. I know, like I said, Squadrons can be a little rough for me.
Yeah, Squadrons is
I get a little motion sick.
Squadrons a little rough for me.
I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna throw up. But like the Battleground isn't bad. And again, Battleground has also kind of got that same thing like I talked about with like Friday the 13th and Bigfoot and all that stuff, where it's just like, let's run around and shoot at each other.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm just writing hullabaloo down because
you could just call it the hullabaloo.
I got such a good reaction from Sarah. I'm like, if it got that good of a reaction from Sarah, it's gonna get that good of a reaction from other people too.
Wow.
Also, I know Dave does this, but one of these days when you do Meng on Meng, I would love to come on because I have figures that I have bought over the last like couple months, and I would like to open them. And I haven't.
Let me see when is next Meng on Meng. It might be this Tuesday. It might be Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah.
We might have switched it because of because we did Spoopy Boys for Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm opening up my calendar.
Yeah.
It is what's today? Today's the 5th. Okay. No, but Spoopy Boys this week. I thought we weren't doing that. I don't know. Maybe we are. I'll just have to Colin.
Yeah, I'll check in.
And then the 13th is Star Wars, baby.
Is that
the 14th? Huh?
Has the sign up gone up for that and I missed it? I'm not getting. I like set notifications for all of those groups that you made.
I thought it was the people who signed up last time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That's great. That's
and Spike is right. Like we talked about it a couple times. Fortnite. We should just play Fortnite. Fuck it. I watched the McElroys play Fortnite and they hate it and they're bad at it and it's super fun. So I'm like, okay, this is dumb. Or something like PUBG.
Yeah.
Back in the day when those guys all worked at Polygon, they had a show called Awful Squad.
Yes.
Where they would all play PUBG together. And they would like go, okay, we got 100 slots in the game not taken up by people in the Polygon office. So first 100 people, you're in. And they'd play like things like all the watchers are zombies, and we've all got guns, and so, or they would do things like what I think they would call it showdown in pachinko, where they would all meet in pachinko, and then they would do like 10 paces, turn around and shoot at each other, or Tower of Terror, or sometimes they would do things with where all the other people would be zombies, and they would be playing trivia at the same time. And if you did something like missed a question, you had to drop your guns, and you couldn't pick them back up, or wreck your car, or just dumb shit that was super funny. I like Sunday, I will still go back and watch Awful Squad episodes, because even though we've seen them all, because they're just funny. I was like, oh, that'd be fun. Those kind of big multiplayer games like that would be interesting to do. I still want to do DC Universe because it's free, and I want to make terrible supervillains.
I would like to do the Marvel's Avengers too, because the co-op stuff you can play together. There's a lot of those kind of games that I'd really like to. I don't have a controller for my computer.
Just get an Xbox controller, wireless Xbox controller.
Okay.
Oh
man.
Oh, I was going to say, speaking of Marvel superheroes, they ended Steeplechase. I listened to the last episode, then I listened to the Adventure Zone episode, which is like their wrap-up thing. And the next thing is a mini-series, and it's Clint running the new Marvel role-playing game, and they're building it off of the War of the Realms mini-series that he and Griffin wrote for Marvel.
Oh.
So they're like, hey, remember these characters we wrote for Marvel Comics and this trade paperback? We're using that as the backbone of this miniseries we're running on Adventure Zone. And we've got people who designed the game, like, are also going to guest star. So it was like, oh shit, that's fucking great. Like, I still want to run a superheroes game, and I just haven't done that either. So I did run a thing where a group of players play the same characters, but they play a different game every session.
That's fun.
We talked about doing Die one year, but we all made each other as characters.
I'd love to do Die. That'd be so fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff to go around. Maybe even doing a poll in the Discord of like, hey, what games would you like to see?
Yeah.
What would entertain you, or what would you be interested in? What would you be interested in playing?
Yeah, my brain is feeling like my background right now. I'm like, maybe we've reached the end of this. I feel like we've got a lot of good ideas. I put them in the shared Excel, and I think I'm going to start kind of building that out and keeping that for next year. Because I do think that there's like a good thing. I think that there's a good balance too. Like, I think that we've rotated through like who's coordinated stuff. You know, like Sandra's helped out, Doug's helped out, Zach and Christy have done a ton. I've done some. You know, it's like, I think that finding that sweet spot for year 10 where like everybody feels like they're doing the thing that they feel most comfortable doing, just to lighten the load across the board. Because I know that, you know, Zach has done a Herculean effort the last couple of years with that. And I know that that's less time you get to actually like prep and enjoy running stuff. So,
well, I think one thing to do is early on, maybe get like a council of elders together and be like, okay, who's doing what? This is all you're doing.
The infrastructure.
Yeah, this is all you're doing. You don't need to worry about this other thing. Someone else has got that, but you are going to do this. What's your plan?
Yeah, and I think that if we built around the like pillars, you know, like the Universal Monsters type of thing, and just said, you know, hey, there's going to be a Tales from the Loop, there's going to be an Aliens, there's going to be a Star Wars or a, you know, spooky D&D, there's going to be Jackbox, there's going to be Minecraft, there's going to be, and we just said, hey, let's set up the armature and then let people plug into the rest. Because I think that that's the other thing. Sometimes we end up plugging the holes when the reality is like, you know, if I knew that we needed to do an overnight again, you know, like sometimes we don't always do, you know, sometimes people go late, but it's like, if we want to do like a spooky, you know, thing one day with Spoopy Boys, and then a spooky thing one day with like the Ghost Crew, you know, from you know, like Zach and Christy and Greg and those guys, like, you know, that would be easy to work around, you know, or like Lego My Ego. If everybody knew once, you know, like both Saturdays from whatever 4 to 8 a.m. that it was going to just be like open Lego time, and people that wanted to be on that or donate and come on, you know, and build their Legos and like chat with us, like that would be great.
Well, and some of it too is like, oh gosh, Joe Croto had gotten like a couple months ago, had contacted me and was like, "Hey, would you guys want to do Spoopy Boys for this? For I can't remember the con in Duluth."
Yeah,
and I was like, "Yeah, we could do that. Would we need to be there to do that?"
Yeah.
But I mean, that would be cool to do, and that's something like if we go out and do that, that's a great place to be like extra life, extra life, extra life.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, or even at I can't think of the con here in the cities that we used to go to all the time, but since COVID,
not
Convergence,
yeah.
Convergence. That'd be a good place too to be like, hey, peoples, we do this stupid thing and it's really fun and it's for a good cause, and would anybody else be interested? And that's kind of the thing about even our stream what are we on right now? StreamYard, Streamlabs.
Yeah, StreamYard.
God, I'm hurting.
Yeah.
StreamYard, and we said this before, is like we do this and we have this so people can use it.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have friends who have been like, well, I would like to do this thing. It's like, okay, just tell us when you want to do it. And if no one else has got a thing that night, it's your time. It's paid for. Might as well use it.
Yeah.
That and you know, being able to do that, I think, you know, in just talking about doing more video game stuff, talking to Doug about like what would it cost us to have a server.
Yeah.
So we
especially
could
for things like Minecraft,
for Zomboid, for, you know, anything else we want to play, like that we can have a server where we can have 20, 30, 40, however many people.
Yeah.
And we can just like have dumb fun. I think it would be worthwhile. I don't mind, you know, spending a little money on something like that on a monthly basis, because especially with a server for Minecraft, then you can play modded Minecraft. And I love Minecraft, but modded Minecraft is where it is at.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Greg, do you have any final thoughts? Anything that you have played in previous years that wasn't around this year that you're like, ooh?
Honestly, I was so tied up that I didn't look that hard.
Yeah.
I think on the scheduling sheet, we may want to break things down, add a column for category. As far as, you know, like this is a one shot. This is a, you know, scripted murder mystery. This is a, I think that there is actually a little bit of information, but I think you had to hover over certain fields to kind of see what was using which system. And I feel like that is like one of the main things that people need to know when they're signing up is what system is this? Am I already familiar with it? Am I going to have to learn something new? Do I have the right dice?
Also, we could put that stuff, if we have the PDF, stick it in the Dropbox and just add a link to the
and that was on me. I think I was trying to do a little too much in one document. And I think
had a lot to do. Like,
but I mean, it's good to know for next year. That's just like, you know, they're just the efficiency. I think it needs to be smaller than what Zach does, and I think it needs to be more than what I do. You know, I think there's a good happy medium in there that's like not an overwhelming amount of information. But I think it's a really good point.
I would say another thing is having a column that is this kid friendly, or is this, you know, is this not? Is this, you know, because I thought about it afterwards and I was like, the kid friendliest thing I ran all weekend was Star Wars.
Yeah, that's funny.
I think
Rotten Odds was not kid friendly.
Any of the things I participate in probably are not kid friendly.
But I mean, like my two youngest nephews, if they know we're playing Minecraft on a stream, they'll watch because they love Minecraft.
Yeah.
And I think also putting that in there so we know, like, okay, because I think I said fuck like 10 times throughout all three streams. But if I knew kids were watching, it would be easy for me just not to use that word. You know, it was just me being tired and lazy.
Depends on what I'm playing.
So I think knowing that might be, you know, something we could add. And maybe it'll encourage us all to be like, run something occasionally during the early day, you know, for kids to watch. Or even like, I've got nieces and nephews who play games. You know,
Yeah.
even saying, hey, do you want to play a game? But I mean, I don't know. I think it's something to kind of.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. True. I was going to use the channel points to raid a game, but then I can't raid this game. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's fair. Yeah.
Also, Clarksky like hopped on his stream and like pumped up our stream and like the fundraiser because he was only able to be on Jackbox for a little bit before he had to bring in Pandora for a vet visit, and like that was just like the coolest thing too. I would love to flex more with like his crew, because having like Matthew and like his Call of Duty dudes like streaming for 12 hours on Friday, like when we only have maybe one thing going and they're starting at like 10 because they're just like, yeah, let's take the day off and like do that, and then maybe we'll do a stream here or there throughout the rest of the weekend. Like that was great. You know, having people join in and do that, I think is like, to me, that gets like the united part of Known World United. Like we don't all have to do the same stuff. Like we can have, like you were saying, Greg, like just the fact that we would have like an entire spreadsheet that's more extensive that like people could also like, we could make a public version that was like more accessible, or just like, you know, those graphics that I made for Instagram, like have those just be there. But we were just getting stuff together at the end so much, you know, with people making decisions that it was hard. And I think a lot of people, there's like a couple people who were out of town, like Cassie was out of town too, you know, and Cassie's usually in for 3 or 4, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Games, you know?
Alyssa was, you know, she was
yeah.
like, I kind of forgot about it. So
Yeah.
I didn't have childcare.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah.
there's people like Doug did some stuff.
Yeah. I think year 10, like people are going to be psyched to do it, and like psyched to cross 100,000 together. Like that's pretty big. Like to be able to say that like as a crew you've raised $100,000 for
That's
Gillette,
fucking
like,
that's wild to even contemplate.
that was like that was like this is the exact conversation we had the first time I said we're gonna do this fundraising. You're like, who's gonna give us money? And I was like, so many people, and you're like, no one's gonna give us money. Nobody's gonna give me money. And I was like, people will come. They will give us money.
I'm amazed every single year that anybody donates. So
yeah, well, let it never be said that some human beings have no redeemable values, because
let it never be said that some people have tastes.
yeah.
And on that note,
yeah. Yeah. On that note, yeah. Thank you everybody for watching. It's so fun. Yeah. I'll put the little thing. You can find everybody that raise funds down here, extra-life.org/team/knownworldunited. Super psyched that they added you can make a custom thing, and every participant, you can put your own custom thing in. So I've started just doing like my name and the year. So yeah, go check us out. Known World United. I think that we're past like 9,300 or something like that now. 9,315. So that feels pretty awesome to be this close. You know, that puts us. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So we're like just about to pass. No, we've already passed $80,000 in 9 years. So, yeah, we'll have some fun encores. We'll get Nashy. We'll get Spoopy. We'll get Crafty. We'll get I don't know. We'll get Tricky. We'll do some. Yeah, if anybody wants to play 1080 snowboarding or Tony Hawk Pro Skater, we'll do that. Yeah. And thanks to everybody for watching. Yes, Shaggy, thank you so much with the kids for the kids. And Greg, thanks for hopping on. It was fun to chat. We don't get to hang out enough. We didn't have Cabin Con. We gotta have like a delayed Cabin Con.
Delayed Cabin Con.
Yeah.
So, all right. So from all of us here at the Known World United. Bye.